All right, let's dive into one of the most important ideas in AI right now: retrieval augmented generation. Now, I know that's a mouthful, so pretty much everyone just calls it RAG. And trust me, this is the secret sauce that's turning AI chatbots into tools we can actually rely on, making them smarter, more accurate, and a whole lot more trustworthy. But let's start with a problem. I'm sure we've all been there. You ask a chatbot a question, maybe a simple one, and it just makes something up. It gives you an answer with complete confidence, but it's totally wrong. We call this hallucinating. So the big question is, why does this even happen? Okay, so here's the deal. Even these incredibly powerful large language models, the LLMs that power everything, they have two major flaws right out of the box. First, they can just invent facts from thin air. And second, their knowledge is basically a snapshot in time. It's stuck, completely frozen on the day their training data was collected. I think the best way to wrap your head around this is to think back to school exams. A normal LLM, it's taking a closed book test. It can only use what it's already memorized. And that means its knowledge gets stale, fast. And worse, when it gets a question it doesn't know, it might just guess. That's the hallucination. But an LLM with RAG? Well, that's like taking an open book exam. It can look things up, check the latest info in real time, and ground every single answer in facts you can actually verify. It's a huge difference. So that leads us right to the solution, doesn't it? If the problem is that closed book exam, then the answer is to give the AI an open book. And that open book, that ultimate cheat sheet, is RAG. So what is RAG really? At its heart, it's a technique that gives the LLM outside information to work with. Before the model even tries to answer you, the RAG system goes out, finds relevant documents, and basically staples them to your question. This is a brilliant move because it separates the AI's reasoning skill from the knowledge it happens to have stored. And the benefits of doing this are just massive. First off, hallucinations basically plummet because the answers are now based on actual provided facts. The AI's knowledge is always up to date because all you have to do is update the documents. No need for crazy expensive retraining. It builds trust by showing you its work, citing the exact sources it used. And you can even make it a super specialized expert by pointing it only at, say, your company's internal documents or a library of medical journals. Okay, this all sounds fantastic, right? But how does it actually work under the hood? Let's take a look inside this sort of fact-checking assembly line. Believe it or not, it's a pretty straightforward 5-step process. So, 1, you ask a question. 2, the system immediately searches a knowledge library to retrieve relevant stuff. 3, it then augments your original question with that info it just found, creating a new, much richer prompt. 4, that whole new package is fed to the LLM to come up with an answer. And finally, 5, you get the final answer, which is now grounded in actual facts. So let's dig into step 2 for a second. That knowledge library is usually a special kind of database called a vector database. The easiest way to think of it is as a library designed for an AI. Instead of organizing things by title or author, it organizes information based on its conceptual meaning. It's incredibly efficient. And the way it finds the right information in that library is through something called semantic search. This is like the AI's super smart librarian. It doesn't just match keywords, it understands what you actually mean. So, if you search for something about a puppy, it's smart enough to know that documents about a dog are probably relevant too. So that's the basic setup, and it's already a huge leap forward. But we can do better. Let's look at a few advanced techniques that take RAG from just good to absolutely great. And why bother with these extra steps? Well, the payoff is enormous. I mean, look at this. Benchmarks show that a really well-tuned RAG system can improve factual accuracy by 20 to 40%. That's not a small tweak. That's a total game changer for building AI you can actually trust.
Okay, so one of the most powerful ways to refine the search is a technique called re-ranking. Here's an easy way to think about it. That first big search, the semantic search, it's designed to be super fast. Its job is to just grab all the right books from the library that might have your answer.
But then a second, more careful model called a re-ranker steps in. It takes that pile of books and meticulously reads through them to find the single perfect page, maybe even the exact paragraph that has the information you're looking for. So you trade just a tiny bit of speed for a massive boost in precision. Another really powerful upgrade is something called hybrid search. This combines two different ways of looking for things. You have semantic search, which, as we said, is amazing at understanding your intent. But you also have old school keyword search, which is perfect for finding exact matches, like a specific person's name or product code. Hybrid search does both at the same time, giving you the absolute best of both worlds. This is all incredible stuff, but this field is just moving at a breakneck pace. So what's actually next for RAG? Well, we're seeing a shift away from these fixed, static pipelines and towards something much more like dynamic, intelligent agents. But of course, there are still challenges to figure out. Here's a fascinating one called the lost in the middle problem. Researchers found that even if you give an AI a huge amount of text to read, it tends to pay the most attention to the very beginning and the very end. It can completely miss critical details that are buried right there in the middle. And it's solving problems like that which is causing RAG to evolve so quickly. We started with standard RAG, which just searches every time. But now we have things like self-RAG, where the AI actually decides for itself if it even needs to look something up. Then there's corrective RAG, which is my favorite. The AI actually fact-checks its own answer and will try again if it's wrong. And right on the cutting edge, you have agentic RAG, where the AI acts like a researcher, breaking down complex questions and creating its own strategy for finding the answers. All this progress kind of leaves us with a pretty deep, maybe even philosophical question to chew on. If an AI can instantly look up, verify, and put together any piece of human knowledge on demand, what does it even mean to know something anymore? Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me.